In step number 24, this is movie 3, and I want to thank Andrew Kramer from videocopilot.net for the basis of this tutorial. Should have said that in movie 1. I did the other 3 movies, 1, but I forgot until this point. I want to go on to step 29, which is to start the shadow. In doing so, I'm looking at the front of the front title, and you can see on screen right there that it's a little dark in the front. So I want you to click on the front title, hit E to open up the CC cylinder, and I want you to open up the shading and change the ambient from 50. I've added that step in step 24 to 60. I don't care if you do it now or if you do it in step 24. To brighten up the front of that lettering just a pinch, okay? Now I'm going to go compress front title and click away from it, and now I'll read. It says click on the front title layer and rename, duplicate it. So I'm going to click right there and duplicate it, and then hit the return key, put your cursor in there and type in shadow. Hit the return key now. And after I do that, it wants me to move it below the front title. So it's behind the front title. Now we're going to add a drop shadow effect in this. And I want to put it about the 7 mark where I have it, so that we can see the drop shadow as it's appearing on top of our Earth. So what I want to do over here into the effects and presets is type in drop shadow. And in drop shadow I want to drop the drop shadow on the front title shadow. Inside the effect window over here, let's change the color to a blue-black on the front title. Let's change the opacity from 50 to 60%. Let's change the direction, not very much, just from 135 to 140. So it comes from the top left. And let's go a distance and send the shadow out to 30, which is going to be too hard. So let's add a softness of 15. Now I don't need to see the lettering on here because I've already seen it. All right, or it's already on the front title. So I'm going to click shadow only. Now the shadow extends actually over the behind title. So I have to stop the shadow from going into the space. Looks silly to have the shadow in space, as you can see over here where I'm circling. The only way to do this and make it right is to pre-compose this. Move all the attributes into a new composition, leave the name as front title shadow comp, and then with a rectangle, with the elliptical tool, make your shadow. And I'm going to reset the endpoint anyway. So I'm going to go to, I'll click I for endpoint, but then I'll click back to the 7 mark in a minute. Okay, so I'll click on the front title shadow. Let's go here to pre-compose, move all attributes into a new composition, which is good, and leave it named front title shadow comp 1. Hit option in bracket to set the endpoint if you choose. You don't have to if you don't want to. I said to do that at 225, which I'm actually at. That's fine. And now I'm at 310. You can do it at 225. It really doesn't matter because we don't need to see it at those 2 marks. So now what I'm going to do is hit the E key on this. Actually, we need to not hit the E key, I'm sorry. We need to get the oval tool, the ellipse tool. Start in the center of this drag. Oh, move it to the 7 mark. That's what I wanted to do. I couldn't think. Now, okay, let's start in the center of our drag. Hold Command and Shift, and now look at how we can make this just a pinch smaller than the Earth. Now we don't see a shadow on the outsides of this mask. All right, let's hit MM, and let's add a 15 pixel feather. I couldn't read it where it was in step 30, a 15 pixel feather. And now if I click away from this with the selection tool, you can see how I have a real nice elliptical, a mask, an ellipse, a circle, stopping the shadow from going too far. Now if I turn on the front title, you can see how the shadow is beautifully placed underneath this lettering, very wonderfully giving the illusion that it's doing what it needs to do. And as it moves from the left hand side to the right hand side, I am all set. So there's the back of the lettering as it's coming across. As it is now moving here, we are coming into the front of the as it moves around the front of the earth, then it gets to the middle of the earth, then it gets to the right of the earth, the earth's right, my left, and now you can see it leaving the earth where the back of this shadow is gorgeous. Now, step 31, if you want to finish the file, you're more than welcome to finish the file at this point. I'm going to pretend that I am you and I am finishing the file. So I'm going to hit the home key, and in the home key, I am going to go to New Composition, and we're going to name it Final Comp. Make it 15 seconds long, and in the Final Comp it says drag the main comp to it. Now hit the T key and set the following keyframes in number 31. Let's click the stopwatch at 0 and make the opacity 0. Let's hit Option Shift J and go to 1 and set the opacity and make it 100%. Let's go to Option Shift J 1400 and let's hit the Add Remove Keyframe button. So we make another 100 over at 14. And instead of going to 15, let's go to Option Shift J and 1429. So I go just before the end and I take this to 0. Now it fades out. Now hit the home key, drag the in the audio file right here. I see I made a mistake. Oh my God. Hey, I've done this so many times, it's unbelievable that I actually did that. But I put all of my compositions in the audio file. There is a way to fix that, okay? And I'll show you how in a second. But I'm going to drag the, I can't believe I did that. Drag this down below, and if I hit LL, you can see the waveform is already perfectly set. Don't need any fade out, fade ins for the audio. You're ready to go. Go to step 44 and render this as I tell you in step 44. Okay? Now, to fix my boo-boo up here, let me see if I can do it very quickly. I'm going to drag the main comp, command click on all of these compositions here, and I'm going to drag them out inside this part of the window, and now I can close the audio folder, close the art folder, and I have correctly. If you leave something selected and you go make compositions, guess where they go into? They go into the folder that you had selected. So I hit Command S to save the file. I'm good to go. Everything works. You can see how pretty it is. Now, the next movie will actually add the Eclipse Effect. I probably have a couple of minutes to start this one, so I think I'm going to, because I need about 5 minutes extra. So I'm going to go to the step 33. To begin with the Eclipse Effect, if you choose to do it, it says to click on the main comp in the project window. I just did. It says duplicate it. Fine. I'll hit the return key and I'll name it Eclipse, E-C-L-I-P-S-E comp. And now I have the Eclipse comp already made. Now, double click it so it actually opens in the timeline right here. It's exactly what you saw before, which is the main comp. It's just a copy of the main comp. Now we're only going to show this at the end of the movie. So it tells you to click on it and delete the Earth Comp 2. We don't need the Earth Comp 2. Let me make sure. We don't need Earth Comp 2, so we hit that and delete. We don't need the front title. Click, delete. The front title 2 shadow. Click, delete. And we want to leave the behind title here, and you'll know why when I get there when I'm all finished. So these 5 layers, hit Command S to save and we can go. Now, it wants me to set the master lightness on the Earth. Since this is going to be where the lens flare really pops out from behind the Earth eventually, the Earth should be backlit. So I want to click the master Earth, hit E, go open up and get rid of the glow off this one. So I click the glow and I delete the glow from that layer. Now I open up the CC sphere and I open up the light and I make the master lightness from open up this. Okay, whoops. I'm correct. I just don't open that. I should have read my own file. I have to add a hue and a saturation to the master earth layer because I want the whole thing to go to one master lightness. So look, I'm going to drop the hue and saturation. I'll hit the E key so you can see now instead of a CC sphere and a glow, I have a CC sphere and a hue and saturation. Don't panic. I just want to go up here and take the master lightness under hue and saturation to -70. Now look at how nice and dark it made that planet. That is going to accept at the halfway point when the lens flare and the sun decide to come out. You're going to see it being backlit, and that is the very cool thing. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do, I'll do the white on this and then I'll stop the file, but I'm going to now make, on number 35, it says to hit the home key and click Command Y, name this white, very original shape, and on the white shape, you have to make it a white color, which I guess is why it's called a white shape. And we're good to go, and everything is fine. Now, it wants me to grab the elliptical tool, the ellipse tool here, and let us make a mask. Hold Command and Shift after I start dragging. So go to the center, then hold Command and Shift and drag, and make this be just a hair's breadth smaller than the Earth, just like that. Okay? Now, let's click MM, and let's make the feather of this be 10 pixels. And then if I go into the mask effect here, close the mask effect, I'm sorry, and now click P for position. Now in P for position, it's at 480 by 270 and I'm at the home key. So I'll stop at the end of number 36 and I'll continue with number 37 if I think that's the right thing to do. So let's go Option Shift J on this and let's go 609. And at 609, let's set a stopwatch for 480 by 270. Let's go Option Shift J and set an 11 second, so 1100. And let's go in and make the X factor instead of 480, 455. Moves it over to the left. Let's now go to 13, and it wants me to right-hand click on this, go to Keyframe Assistant, and go to Easy Ease. Okay, let's go Option Shift J 1300, and now over at 1300, I won't have to right-hand click on this because I've already done it, and it's just going to copy an Easy Ease keyframe, but I'm going to change the X from 455 to 478. And now as you can see, if I circle over here, there's an Easy Ease keyframe, hit Command S to save the file. It wants me now to add the opacity for this, and then we'll actually move it below the title comp on here all the way down, so it's actually going to appear behind the Earth. So when I come back, we'll start on number 37 and we'll continue and finish this one, okay, with the lens flare.